The Shroud. Marvel's Batman ripoff was quite impressive. In the world of superhero movies and comic books, one often compares two characters from different universes and their powers and abilities. There are also many debates over similarities between two entirely different characters, whether one was inspired by the other, and so on. One such character is the Shroud, who was labeled as Marvel's Batman ripoff. Created by Steve Englehart and Trimpe, Shroud first appeared in the supervillain team-up comics in 1976. Though his origins and appearance bear some resemblance to Batman, the Shroud is quite an impressive character just on his own. He was orphaned at a very young age, and he even lost his eyesight due to a cult ceremonial procedure. However, Shroud did not give up easily and continued to fight crime even after being blinded. He has many unique characteristics, and Shroud always persists forward, irrespective of circumstances. Let us dive into his origins and explore his first comic book appearance. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Now, let's begin. The first comic book appearance and origins explored. Born as Maximilian Coleridge, Shroud's life was full of struggles right from his childhood. His parents were killed before his eyes when he was just 10 years old, and this incident left a lasting impact on him while growing up. He decided to become a vigilante and dedicated his entire life to fighting crime. Max Coleridge then went to college and soon graduated with a degree in law. He then joined Cult of Kali, a temple where he could receive training in all forms of martial arts and become a skilled fighter. He stayed here for around 7 years and trained himself to become an undefeatable fighter. When it was time to leave the temple, his skin was branded with a red-hot iron with the Kiss of Kali mark. He then realized that this ceremony caused him to lose his eyesight, and he was soon hospitalized to recover from the pain from the ceremonial branding. After making a full recovery, Max assumed the identity of Shroud, a blind vigilante who was determined to fight crime. Shroud first appeared in the supervillain team-up comics, number 5, issue titled, "And Be a Villain." The comic begins with Reed Richards, leader of the Fantastic Four, operating some heavy machinery when a loud crash disrupts his work. Richard investigates the source of the noise and finds Namor crashing through his lab's window. Namor appears to be drowning in the air and he needs some water to survive. He asks Richards for help, and the superhero concludes that Namor's bodysuit that helps him survive outside water must have malfunctioned. Richards decides to put Namor in a water tank to help him recover, while the rest of the Fantastic Four show up in the lab. Once the submariner regains his consciousness, Namor rises out of the water and wishes to speak to Richards. It appears that Namor had joined forces with the supervillain Dr. Doom, but their alliance did not work out. Dr. Doom sought revenge on Namor by messing with his suit, making it impossible for Namor to stay out of water anymore. The Doctor then offered him a serum to help Namor to stay alive even outside water. Though the serum helped him breathe in air, its effects would eventually wear off every 24 hours, and Namor would need to get his suit fixed before the deadline. Also, Dr. Doom had given him this serum only on the condition that Namor must return to work for him in case he could not repair the suit. Namor requests Richards to save him and repair the suit at any cost, while Dr. Doom shows up as a hologram to make fun of the superheroes. The Fantastic Four get to work right away and are determined to find a way to cure Namor. In the meantime, the Human Torch notices a strange figure lurking on a rooftop across the street and spying on their lab. He decides not to tell Richards about it and sets out on his own to look into this intruder. Human Torch suspects that Dr. Doom must have sent someone to keep an eye on them, but he is surprised to find a man in a superhero costume. He asks the man about his identity, and the man replies by saying, "I am the Shroud. That is all you need to know." Human Torch tries to know more about him, but Shroud lunges into attack on him, catching him off guard. Shroud did not wish to be seen, and he intended to come and leave as silently as a shadow. While the two fight each other, Human Torch notices that Shroud's costume covers his eyes, and he wonders what is wrong with the Shroud's eyes. He even uses his fireballs, but Shroud manages to deflect all of his attacks and cannot be beaten so easily. Shroud boasts about his powers and says, "I've devoted my life to my calling. That's given me plenty of time to refine the factors on which my life depends." He also talks about his coat, which is lined with asbestos and is fireproof, which makes him resistant to the Human Torch's attacks. Shroud then takes his leave and flies away while the Human Torch follows him and demands to know about his relation to Dr. Doom. Upon hearing Doom's name, Shroud attacks the Human Torch and then says that he will soon attack Doom in the same way. While Torch regains his balance, Shroud flies away and is nowhere to be found. In the meantime, Richard tries his best to repair Namor's suit as the 24-hour mark approaches its deadline. Richard is almost done fixing the suit, but Namor loses his patience and breaks out of the water tank. However, he starts suffocating in the air, and Dr. Doom uses his powers to teleport Namor to his headquarters in Latveria. The Fantastic Four are determined to save Namor, and they decide to follow Namor and free him from serving under Dr. Doom. In the next issue, the Fantastic Four make their way to Latveria while Doctor Doom picks up signals of their Fantasticar. He prepares to confront the superhero team and sends an army of soldiers to prevent the Fantastic Four from entering his castle. While the superhero team struggles to overcome the soldiers, Namor helplessly watches their fight from his cell in the castle. As he looks out the window, his eyes fall on Shroud, who uses the commotion as an opportunity to break into the place undetected. Shroud plans to wait until nightfall and then find a way to break into Doctor Doom's castle to kill him. Though we don't know Shroud's reason for killing Doctor Doom, he is pretty determined to cause Doom's downfall. In the meantime, the Fantastic Four defeat all the soldiers and are on the verge of breaking into the castle. Doctor Doom asks Namor to stop them from entering the place and warns him that he must obey his orders if he wishes to get his next dose of the serum. Namor has no choice but to fight against his friends, but the Fantastic Four easily defeat him and finally enter the castle. However, they are stopped by Henry Kissinger, Secretary of State. He has just signed a peace agreement between the USA and Latveria, and the Fantastic Four are left with no option but to leave. As the superheroes leave Latveria, Shroud watches from afar and decides that it's for the best that the Fantastic Four have to depart. He talks to himself and promises that he will soon kill Doom. It appears that he shares a history with Doom, and the Doctor isn't aware that the Shroud is still alive. Some major events involving the Shroud. Shroud has been a part of many storyline arcs such as The Avengers and The Night Shift, and Civil War and The Initiative, and so on. Initially, Shroud worked as a crime lord in LA, where he brought together the Night Shift. Though Shroud was a gang leader, he secretly helped the Avengers, such as Captain America and Miss Marvel, by passing on information about the crime scene in LA. He created the Night Shift, a team of superhuman criminals who believed that Shroud was fighting crime to decrease his competition. The Night Shift sometimes worked alongside the Avengers and helped them bring down other criminals. In one such instance, the Night Shift uncovered the criminal organization Power Broker's plans to create super soldiers with some aid from the government. However, the Night Shift soon stopped working for Shroud as they learned that he was not a criminal but rather a vigilante who supported the Avengers. Shroud then left LA and moved to New York in order to leave his past behind. Over the next few years, Shroud developed a relationship with Arachne, who was a former Avengers known as Julia Carpenter. They met when Julia needed help regaining her powers, and Shroud made sure she regained them by hiring a team of scientists to create a formula for her powers. The two ended up getting very close, and Arachne began working for the Initiative. The Initiative captured any beings who violated the Superhuman Registration Act by hiding their superpowers. While Arachne worked for the Initiative on the surface, she and Shroud secretly helped the captured offenders escape from the organization. Soon after, Arachne was exposed to the Initiative, and Shroud sacrificed himself to make sure she escaped any and all criminal charges. Though Shroud had many criminal offenses on his name, he was cleared of all charges with some help from Tony Stark. He then moved to Canada with Arachne and took up the task of leading the superhero team Omega Flight. After a few years, the Superhuman Registration Act was abolished, and it was safe for Shroud to return to New York. He then worked alongside the police forces to fight crime and was also in charge of investigating murders in Shadowland. Shadowland was a city block in New York where around 107 people had fallen victim to an explosion caused by the Bullseye. Shroud worked alongside Daredevil to solve this case, and later worked on many such criminal investigations. What makes him so unique and powerful? The Shroud has many unique abilities, but what sets him apart is his ability to summon the Dark Force. Dark Force is a type of negative energy which is summoned by opening a portal to the Dark Force dimension. No amount of light or illumination can penetrate through the Dark Force, as it is a total negation of any light. This energy can have various effects, and it depends on the summoner and how he uses it to his advantage. Though we don't know just how much of this dark energy the Shroud can summon, we do know that he can control the darkness for an unlimited amount of time. Shroud can cast clouds of darkness that are capable of filling an entire room with darkness in a matter of seconds. He can even project the dark energy to create hazy, deformed shapes of darkness. Moreover, Shroud can disguise the darkness as a shadow, which helps him catch his opponents off guard as the space fills up with dark energy. Shroud can only draw energy from the Dark Force dimension, and he cannot actually travel to the dimension. Shroud possesses psychic perception, which helps him see through the Dark Force energy using his mind. The psychic energy even gives Shroud a clear idea of everything that surrounds him up to a radius of 100 meters. And he can mentally perceive humans as well as objects in his vicinity. Though he has lost his ability to see, Shroud's psychic powers more than make up for his blindness, and he has no trouble navigating the world. While training at the Cult of Kali, Shroud received intense training in combat and mastered many martial forms. He has excellent fighting skills as well as the intelligence to devise elaborate plans to defeat his opponents. Conclusion. Though there are many vigilantes in the Marvel Universe, Shroud's unique set of powers and his persistence in fighting crime make him quite an interesting character. He has lived a grim life, and he could have been a darker character if Marvel had explored his story in more depth. Shroud is quite a formidable character, and we hope to see him written into some storylines in future projects. And if you like our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.